yet.
There's still spots inside if you'd like to sit inside.
All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting, the special meeting to address comments made by Fred Heidman to order. It's 5 o'clock Thursday, 6:25. To start, if you would join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, to start, there is a statement that the mayor would like to have read. So I'm going to have Jenny Max, our city administrator, read that. I have a short statement after that as acting mayor pro tem, and then we will kind of follow the agenda from there. So Jenny, if you could.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, members of the council. This is an email received today from Mayor Fred Heidman. Good afternoon. My apologies for not being able to attend today's special meeting. The two council members who put together this meeting, Councilman Gary Johnson and Councilman Mike Hoff, chose to do so knowing that I would not be able to attend, which seems odd since I am the person who Mr. Ohm and Mr. Kennedy had inquired about. I am requesting they give an explanation for their actions for the record.
So I'll start with that. I'd be happy to answer that question. I felt the need to call a meeting as soon as possible based on notice timing. This was the soonest we could do the meeting. I personally don't have Mr. Heidman's work schedule at my ready, so I called the meeting as soon as possible. We all have work to do, and the rest of us are here. I'll leave it at that.
Councilman Gary Johnson also misrepresented his knowledge at the council meeting on June 17th when he told the public that he did not know the reason for my absence. He had been instructed before the meeting, and hence the reason for filling in for the evening, along with the rest of the council, that I would not be in attendance due to workload that day as I was short of staff and had 20 plus pieces of machinery to pick up between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. In conjunction, my reason for not being in attendance was not announced at the beginning of the meeting for the public as it should have been. It is critical that city staff see that all pertinent information be part of the record and accurate for the public knowledge and future record. This failed to happen and caused unneeded speculation. This is another point of change I have been pushing for our city. I did exchange emails with Mr. Ohm yesterday. It was good we were able to connect. I again want to reiterate that I support the First Amendment and your right to express your concerns. That right is the most important right we have. Please feel free to call me if you would like to get together for conversation. See our administrator for my contact information. Respectfully, Fred Heidman. And I have one more short one. Okay. Also received by Mayor Heidman this afternoon. I hear there are emails being sent to City Hall today in opposition to my First Amendment rights. I want to make the council aware that I also have people emailing, calling, and stopping me on the street, stopping by the store, and are furious at Mr. Ohm over his antics. Also, they are critical of the city council and city attorney for their role in this. Please remember the First Amendment is for every American, and that should not be silenced by those who think they should control the narrative. The silent majority is watching this meeting very closely as well. They will not be in attendance tonight, but nonetheless are right here. These are the words I am hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick statement here, and then, as I said, we'll kind of follow the agenda. The reason for our meeting tonight, and the reason I requested this, and I think Mr. Hoff requested this meeting while we're assembling here tonight, is to make known our comments, to make known our position on the comments made by Fred Heidman and to reject them. We will be discussing and putting together a statement that defines our stance on the matter. And while this meeting is a one agenda item meeting, which generally does not have a public forum or open comments, we do understand people's concerns and that people are passionate about this subject. And so we will allow comments for those who wish to come up and speak. I only ask that comments kept to be relatively short in nature. If we can try to eliminate repetitive statements, I think that will help. And certainly if we can remain civil, I would ask that. I would also want to make public known that if folks are here looking for answers to questions of Mr. Heidman, we as a council can't answer those questions. We can't speak for him. So with that, I will open it up to any public comments.
We are read our position first.
I'm sorry.
You want to read our position first?
No, I think we'll do that
Okay.
after, if that's okay.
Yep.
So if anybody would like to come forward, we'd ask that you do so. Please state your name. Okay. Seeing none, I guess.
Can I just say that, you know, it may appear on the surface that it took us a while to get this meeting called. We acted as, you know, to use Biff's term, swiftly as we could. We wanted to allow Mayor Heidman a chance to respond to Biff's first questions. And so when we saw that didn't happen right away, that's when we decided to call the meeting. And we had an initial posting time of the public notice of the meeting. So that's why it's happening at this time.
I told my wife I wasn't going to because truly I think I've said everything that I can, and I've been very transparent, and I have no problem speaking my mind and standing and valuing what my position is. And
Sure. If you could, Biff, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
could you just please for the record state your name?
Yep, my name is Biff Holm,
Yes,
and
thank you.
I'm just to be here as my own self and my citizen. And I took an approach, and I'll be very honest, of not to put anyone else's words in my mouth. And I would just urge the mayor and the council just to understand that, yes, I am out here kind of dangling alone, but I am not alone with my sentiment and talking. And I understand that the mayor isn't either, and other people are allowed that. If anyone knows me, I'm going to put Holly Holm on the spot, and maybe anyone else from the chamber. I am a First Amendment. I have been complained about because of my carrying forth the First Amendment right. I push the limits even in my own store with some edgy things that I know aren't for everybody else, and I value the First Amendment heavily, and I do Mayor Heidman's First Amendment too. That doesn't mean to be said I have been judged because of the choices that I make for the First Amendment, and we all have the right to be judged for those comments that are made. So those are real. I really have nothing else to add. I've been I've tried to be as transparent as possible. I want to thank the city. Jenny has been the utmost in professionalism, and I understand. I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Hoff here earlier today too, and I understand the position that you guys are put in, and just really thank you for the work that you were doing. So, yes.
Thank you. Come on up.
I have a comment or a question. My name is Bob Fear. And I've been in 20 of mayhems in my professional career. Kind of enjoy not being in too many since I retired. What I'm a little confused at or not happy about is that the two parties principally opposed didn't get together outside of this forum. I've heard a comment, came to last city council meeting, and I heard a comment made that one party reached out 3 times, the mayor wouldn't respond. I highly don't believe that comment. And I would think anybody that wants to reach any council member or member would call the city speak with Jenny or your assistant. And I think any of you, 99 times out of 100, will get back to that individual within a day. So that's my truth. Can I prove it? No, but that's my experience. So I don't think this really needed to come to this level. That's my first comment. Second one is, I think this meeting should have been scheduled around Fred's availability. I understand you're all important, but he's not here to defend himself. So I don't know what to accomplish today. From that, I'll close and listen to what you all have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes.
I said thank you.
Got your wish.
Hello, my name is Will Just. I am a student. My dissatisfaction arises from him trying to make this into like a freedom of speech issue. You can say whatever you want, yes, but it doesn't mean that your actions don't have consequences. And in this, we see the mayor having to take responsibility for his statements and his actions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really didn't want to come up here, but my son is Patrick Kennedy, the one who came and thoughtfully put together a letter of his concerns. He thoughtfully reached out to the city in hopes of resolving some of these issues. He didn't take this lightly at all. He loves Nesswa. And it's a difficult place to live as a kid sometimes. But he didn't want to bring a negative light on our city, on our tourism, on anything. So he is trying to find a way to rectify the situation. I asked him today because he has a job in Maine now. So I asked him, what besides resignation would you like to see? And he said, the posts removed, offensive posts removed from his account, and the city, and honestly, I'm not sure if the city has any kind of social media policy for elected officials, but something to be in place. Those are very small steps, but show a resolve to be able to rectify the poor response.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deb Cruz. Grew up here, moved back about 13 years ago, and it was my Facebook page that this went up on. We moved back, and I'm about half the diversity, or my family's about half the diversity in the community. The first year my daughter was in a class, and the newcomers club, there was a girl in there giving her grief about the color of her skin. And you know, the teacher didn't do anything about it. The teacher said that the girl had more problems than my daughter did. So when I hear Molly talking about it, I get where she comes as a mother. Fred's a good guy. He's a good guy. I've known him since he was a little kid. I don't agree with what he posted. I don't agree with a lot of his posts. I do agree that he has a First Amendment right to post whatever he wants, but he's our mayor. And as our mayor, he has to stand up for the values of the city. And so it's on, I think, this group or someone that's directed by this group to come up with a set of conditions that say that these are the values that we're going to hold our civic officials to. Our city officials cannot be posting Islamophobic things on Facebook or tweeting out racist things over the internet. What I wish is that I had taken the steps over to Fred's office and sat down and talked with him first. I don't want a big attack on Fred, but I do want him to take a look at what he's doing and change his ways. If he doesn't change his opinions, that's on him. but he has to change his behavior. It's just not okay for our city. So thanks for listening. So I'm Sandy Potoff, and I moved back recently. I was born and raised in the Brainerd Lakes area. My grandfather moved here in 1931. So I just recently moved back. I have a minority husband, and this was not what I was expecting when I moved back to Nisswa. I've known Fred all my life, went to Lutheran Church of the Cross with him. I don't know what's in his heart. All I know is what I see posted. And to me, I just felt very, very offended. As a private citizen, you can post whatever you want. I did reach out to Jen. I sent an email saying I had some concerns about what I had seen and asked for the employee handbook. And as I read the employee handbook, I think it is specific that you are not supposed to be posting things relative to race, religion, creed. I think it was a little, I was a little unsure because sometimes it talks about employees, sometimes it talks about the council people. Does that include the mayor, not include the mayor? I just don't know enough. But what I would ask as best practices is if the city of Nisswa would look at, and I'm sure you're part of this League of Cities, is that correct? Look to see what are best practices around codes of ethics or codes of values, and look to see if this is best practices. Is it covered in your employee handbook or is it not? To make sure that this doesn't happen again. Again, I've known Fred all my life. So I was just totally shocked when I saw this stuff. And I would just, when I saw it up there, I didn't even say what city I'm from or anything. I just said, could you kindly, an elected official should not be posting this type of stuff from a city that I was born and raised. Please delete it. And I don't think it has been deleted. So as far as there's an easy answer to some of this, and it's just go delete the posts. Because a colleague of mine in Minneapolis saw them and she said, who the hell is that guy? I said, well, that's our mayor. She said, I'm gonna call the Tribune. I said, oh, please don't do that. We don't need the Tribune. But this is, this is not who we are. And Nisswa is supposed to be a welcoming place because we rely on people to come here and enjoy themselves and feel welcome. And that is not welcoming words that I saw. So I would ask that one of the actions that the council takes is to look at the League of Cities, see if you are following best practices around requiring codes of ethics that more specifically spell out what's expected of our elected officials, or if it's already covered in your handbook, to please make it clearer exactly who those handbook, whatever they're called, handbook, yeah, bylaws or whatever, who they apply to. Because as I read the bylaws, it looked like he was doing something that the bylaws say you should not be doing, or the handbook says you should not be doing. But that's my reading of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ann Bliss, and I moved up here with my kids permanently in 2005. We've always had property on North Lawn. Now I'm right in Nisswa. And my daughter started first grade up here. She's now graduated and an adult. But I remember when she had her first, like singing concert at school, where all the parents go and the kids go up and do plays and whatnot. And I sat on the floor at Eagle View, waiting for the kids to start. And I looked around. My daughter was born in another country, okay? I looked around and there was not one other face that had any color in it other than hers. And I swear to God, I said to myself, what the hell have I done? We moved up here from the cities. I personally welcome everybody of any color, race. I'm like more than happy. I'll sit down and hear their story. I am so happy when I see anybody with a different religion that wants to sit down and talk about it, a different color. And racism is so far out of my book that I don't understand it one bit, especially what's going on in the world today. I don't understand it. And I think that anybody who makes racist posts, whether it be on your own personal page or not, it's going to get out into the community no matter what. If you want to say these hateful things, you should make your Facebook private, or you should own up to it and say, these are my beliefs. And I'll tell you one thing. You came to our door when you were campaigning to be the mayor, and lots of great talk, great. I voted for you. Shortly after that, for some reason, I looked at your Facebook page and I was just shocked.
So just to be clear, I'm not Fred.
Oh, where is he?
He's not here.
Oh, for God's sakes. See, he's a total wimp too, okay? I was shocked at what was on his Facebook page, and this goes back years ago, that the pure hatred in there. And I was ashamed of myself for not doing that beforehand and voting for you. And it will never happen again. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Last chance. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. I've been on city council this is my third term. I do view this as probably the most important meeting we've had in my tenure as a city council member. So I really do appreciate you all being here. I appreciate the passion, appreciate the emails that have come in. I've gotten more feedback on this issue than, again, any other issue that I've ever, that's ever come up in my tenure. So just a couple of thoughts that I'd like to share. I agree, and you'll hear in the statement that I drafted for our discussion here tonight. I certainly agree and support everybody's First Amendment rights. I would never try to deny those. What I think is important here, and certainly probably some growth that we need to do as a city council, is exactly what somebody had mentioned here. Within our handbook, just talking about this social media stuff. It's become such a prevalent part of our lives. But that as an individual posting something, if you are an elected official, you can post something as an individual. Are you posting as an individual? Are you posting it as an elected official? I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. So while these comments were posted by Fred Heidman, the citizen, it also is a bad reflection on us and has put us in an awkward position, but maybe has also opened our eyes to a few things that we can do better. So with that, I think we'll open up our discussion here in terms of maybe drafting a statement that we can get out tonight, and maybe talk about some planning and some things we can do going forward in terms of the employee handbook, and also some social media training, that sort of thing. So I don't know how we want to handle this. I mean, I think we all have copies of the statement that I drafted, and then a statement that also Councilman Huff drafted. John, was there something that you had worked on too, or no?
Not at this time. I'm still in the works. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll read my part that I drafted here first. Oh yeah. Sorry.
I'm a grandpa, and my granddaughter the other day said, "Grandpa, did you get that email that I sent you?" I said, "No." "And where did you send it to?" She said, "I sent it to you." I said, no, I didn't get it. She said, why don't you get on Facebook? Why don't you go on Twitter and stuff? I said, that's the reason I don't do stuff like that. I haven't figured it out yet. But I have a question for somebody in the audience, if you know the answer. When Fred tweeted back last year and the year before on some issues, as far as I can tell, he didn't say that he was mayor of the city. How was it determined that he was mayor from the posting? How do they do that?
It's probably just from people that know him that then also know that he's mayor. I don't think his Facebook page says Mayor Fred Heidman on it,
No,
does it?
well,
No.
I don't think so. That's what I was wondering. Well, I'm behind the curve on some of this stuff. There's one thing that he did in this email he sent to us tonight. He said that people are critical of the city council and the city attorney for their role in this. We didn't do anything.
Right.
Not a thing. It came out of the blue. In fact, I think if Fred had come to the first council meeting where this was brought up and he answered the questions there or had a dialogue there, we wouldn't be here tonight. So I will fault him for that. I will fault him for not showing up tonight. I know he's busy and that's okay, but it's his job as an elected official to be at some of these meetings that are very important, just like budget meetings and everything else. You sign up for the job, you do the work. I think we have to be very careful in what we say tonight and what we decide to do. I don't agree with some of the things that Fred said. I may agree with some of the things he did. I'm not going to get into that at this point. But I think he has the right, and I think you agree that he has the right to say what he wants to. He has to think about what he's saying. So free speech is not totally, the Supreme Court has made provision saying that you can't holler fire in a movie theater and things like that. So it's not, well, I won't go into it. That's okay. I just think that if he were here, I think it would go a lot smoother and things would get done a lot quicker and you could all go home early, but he's not here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So yes, he does have the right to say those things, but we also have the right to reject them. So any other comments?
One thing, when you're a public official, as a police officer for 30 years, you live in a glass house. And that's the first thing you learn. You live in a glass house. And with Facebook, Don, if I'm friends with you, but I'm not friends with the other 400 people that you're friends with, and I say something meant for you, your 400, unless we have a private page set up just in general, your friends can see what I said. That's the thing. So one of the problems with social media, texting, just texting even coworkers, and you find this out really fast when you're investigating crime and stuff. People read that the way they want to read it. They don't necessarily read it the way you meant it. So then when there's a question, you have an obligation, if people are willing to be reached out to, or you can, to explain why. And I think that's all people were asking. I would recommend everybody take the mayor up on his offer to sit down with you and have a cup of coffee. It looks like he's going to have to drink a lot of coffee, and ask for his clarifications. Some said they have reached out to him and got no reply. I don't know that. I mean, I didn't do it, but I certainly don't know why. It would just be something I would recommend everybody continue to reach out to him for his personal clarification of it. But when you're an elected official, you choose to do this, and you live in a glass house, and if you say something that people feel is controversial, you have an obligation to at least reach out to those people or be reachable to explain what you actually mean. You may not agree before, you may not agree afterwards, but at least everyone would have a chance to sit down and discuss what's actually meant. Okay. I agree that I think the city needs to have some clarification as far as, you know, policy, or whatever you want to call it, for social media and stuff, what we're posting, which I mean, most cities have it for their employees. My understanding, we're considered employees under the policy. I don't know if that's it, but that's something that we can discuss in the future.
Well, even if
Work
we
with our
aren't, we
attorney on it
certainly,
and stuff too.
yeah, even if we aren't, we certainly could add elected officials in.
Well, we should set an
into it.
example for the employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll say just a couple things. And I want to address Ms. Kennedy that when she asked, you know, what would satisfy Patrick, and at minimum, taking the post down. You know, I don't know that we have the power to do that. That would either have to come from Fred in control of his own posts, or the original post that it was posted on. So that's, I would love to see it taken down. I don't know that we have the power to do that, Mike.
I wouldn't think we can make anybody do anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
We can
I
ask.
understand that.
We can ask.
We can ask. And then I'm going to just be in unison with what everybody, all the other, my fellow councilmen have said up here with what they're saying. And I just want to go back to the beginning of the meeting when in Mr. Heidman's email saying that we knew he was not able to attend. That is not a true statement. We set this up as soon as we could to make sure that we were following up with the city of Nisswa. He had the opportunity to call a meeting himself that would fit his schedule. He did not do that, so we felt we needed to do this. So I just wanted to make it clear that Gary and myself have no knowledge of his work schedule. Last week, when we had a normal city council meeting, those meetings are the third Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. And he couldn't make that one. That's a regularly scheduled meeting. So I'm taken aback that he is calling us out for stuff that we did not know. And that's, you know, I wish he was here as well to help settle this as well.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and read the statement I have prepared. We can discuss it, and then Mr. Hoff maybe can read his, and we'll maybe see if we can come up with something. So the statement I prepared is as follows. While the city of Nisswa, or excuse me, let me start over. While the City Council of Nisswa and the City of Nisswa support every person's First Amendment rights, we do not condone or support the comments made by our mayor in a recent Facebook postings. I'm changing that to plural because of some of the things that have come to light since. We find the comments insulting and unacceptable, and they do not in any way represent the thoughts and feelings of the City Council nor the City of Nisswa. That's what I had prepared.
Okay. And mine is as follows. The city of Nisswa, the Nisswa City Council, and the Nisswa city staff are an entity accepting of all individuals, regardless of race, creed, ethnicity, gender, national origin, sexual orientation, religion, or economic standing. We want everyone to feel accepted, whether you are a resident, visitor, or business owner. We would hope that everybody enjoys what Nisswa is known for, the best small town in Minnesota. Come and enjoy Nisswa without any worries.
Feedback?
Um,
Go ahead.
Well, we just got this when we started the meeting tonight, you know. I wonder if we should add an extra line on to the bottom here, saying something to the effect, request that the mayor and the individuals who have sent emails to us regarding his postings, attempt to find the time when they can meet and discuss the issues.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think we can add that.
That way it's something that we're asking him to do.
Well, and we can make City Hall available for
Sure.
that too. And it can also be done virtually if we needed to. You know, it's not something that can't have three people here, three of us. Two with you, two of us with the mayor. We can't have a quorum. So.
Yeah.
But
So far it's been apparently very hard to get a hold of him, whatever, and we're just encouraging him to take the time to meet with some of these people who have sent in the emails and stuff. He knows who they are, and have a conversation. And if he doesn't want to do that, then that's up to him.
No, I'm pretty much similar to what Don was thinking.
So we combine the two statements
But, you
and
know,
add Don's comments in the bottom or at the end.
I think so. I also think that we need to let people that are here know that we need to work towards something, be it put into the employee or council or the city handbook or council handbook or whatever, that directly, you know, for council members directly discusses the ethics of posting, that, you know, those types of things. For that, I would have to rely on Tom's expertise as what do you put in, what can you put in, what can't you put in, that kind of stuff. So,
Well,
you know, and
sorry.
you were working on that with the League of
The
Minnesota
league.
Cities too.
Yeah.
I think the league.
You
could
can
be a
ask
good
Jenny to look
resource
at
there.
that and see if we are covered in what we already have.
Right.
I haven't read it for a while, so I don't know.
And after the last city council meeting, I asked Jenny if we did have a social media policy or if we should implement one. So that ball started rolling immediately after the last city council meeting, along with the ethics policy.
So I think what we could do maybe for our next regular council meeting, have an agenda item, or maybe we can have that snippet from the employee handbook. Maybe if you could find out, get some resources from the league, and we could discuss that and see if we could improve that policy a bit. Oh, Bob?
Suggestion, just a suggestion. This has been, I was at the last city council meeting when this first arose, and now this one obvious, and it's been very public, and minutes have been taken. And Don, I hate to say this, but I like your idea. But I think since it's all been formalized and minutes been taken, if there's going to be a follow-up meeting, I'd like to see that public, whatever. I mean, it's minutes of that too. It doesn't seem right to me that up to here, it's formalized, and then if they get together as a group, and I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see Fred sit down with whatever it is, a dozen people, and I'd like to see Jenny or somebody like that have minutes on what's said, what's agreed upon, and then you can monitor it from there. Just my opinion. Thank you.
I think that the easiest way to do something like that is to have it the open forum at the regular council meeting. Anybody here who's met with him, come forth and say, I met with them and we had a conversation, and tell us whatever they want. It's easier for us to know that way than coming from this side.
Whatever works and is accurate. Thank you.
Please.
In addition to a social media policy, I think it would be advantageous to everyone to have some type of diversity training as employees, as of the city or elected officials. We're in a new world. I think everybody has to be very well-rounded.
Thank you. Definitely something else we can explore.
through with you. I have, and I've been very clear of how I did things, but I was getting a lot of direct communication to myself once I made myself, put myself out there, and I accepted that. There is a petition right now with 256 signatures on them. I have looked at those signatures. I have also been carbon copied on, I know, on communications that have gone to the city. And I know that they're probably coming in with that. I just want, just as we're thinking this through, this is, I know that my name gets thrown out there and Mr. Kennedy's name gets thrown out there, but we just happen to be the ones who raised our hand and became vocal. But I don't weigh my voice any more or less than anyone else's. So as we're thinking about this, I think this is a first step. And I'm not one to, I am actually saying slow this down maybe a little bit, and let's think this through, because it is, as you guys have said, is so important. And let's involve the more, especially when we're talking about diversity, the more diversity we can involve even in this. We do have diversity in our town. It just doesn't look like it when they look at me and they look at you guys. And honestly, I'm like, in my own way, it's just when a middle-aged white male, who I am, who is not here, is ruining the rap of my image and what it should be. I would like to, how I run my own business is to have a lot of diversity, and I do have diversity in my business. And when you look, and just like other people are, I know that they would be willing to talk, but they don't feel comfortable when they see how other citizens are treated, and who have thicker skin like myself to put themselves out there. It's really intimidating for them to do that. And I don't want to put my staff on the line, but I have trans staff, I have gay staff, and I have Black staff. And when you look into their eyes and see the hurt that there is, I don't know, like my thing is I try to bring success to other people, and you guys are here trying to bring success to other people, and that's how we raise a ship. And it doesn't make sense to me economically, or as a society, when we cut people out who can add value and make us stronger. So anyway, just to think about that there's a lot more than 12 of us.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Biff. All right, Bob.
Question,
You come to the podium though, please.
I'm not to plug in this on you, but so I'm gonna ask this question, maybe the rest of the people in the room know it. There's a petition of 250 people's name on it. What's the petition for?
I don't know.
Because
Yeah.
that information's getting into the record, and it's kind of a phrase incomplete. So I don't want people ambiguously thinking it's for an extra coffee machine here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Biff, I'll put it very formally in the record. So I have really tried to step cautiously and with other people, and there's other people in this room that we just like anyone, we talk, we're a small community in that type of thing. And I raised my hand and I said, we can do this cautiously. So we presented, and I've outlined this, it's been communicated to the city, but I will re-communicate it here verbally to get everyone up to speed. I believed in the First Amendment right. I forwarded the questions to the city to be forwarded to the mayor a week before the city council meeting. They were very direct, and I'm just gonna be frank, any official who has been put in this, or a leader such as myself, it was a softball question that you could have got up and you can just answer it and address it. There was no one here. I'm not gonna get into an argument of whether anyone has reached out to me or not. The mayor has reached out to me. As of yesterday was the first time I heard the mayor, and I have had an exchange in conversation. But after, I'm kind of taking the Governor Walz's approach. I was hoping, I was praying that this could be much more civil and we could talk. But it wasn't, and I cranked the dial up and I started a petition that said, it's not okay. Like, what are you doing? You're just like, we want answers. So that petition originally started as the questions that I put forth at the last city council meeting. When I did that, more people said thank you, stopped in on the street. People have stopped me on the street and said, what the hell are you doing? Push this back into the bottle. We don't need to draw attention to us and just keep quiet. That's just Fred. And I've heard them and I've seen their pain and their fear too. So I've heard both sides and I've done that. In my own mind, there is no excuse for racism, just as other ones. Like if you want to be associated as a racist, do it. That's fine. That's your First Amendment right. I choose not to. So I started that petition. When I saw people came to me with additional posts and additional hurtful things, I put the brakes on. I forwarded that to the city in hopes, I called it a Hail Mary pass. I even put it in an email that we could get together and we could just breach this topic just like you were saying. And again, we're here in silence. We're just here in silence. So I don't know what, I apply. Yes, I will put skin in the game. I know many people here, we will put skin in the game to make our city a better city because that's what we do. So I am here to put real rubber on the road. My wife would kill me. The only other idea that I have is we sell our house, which we're just on the city lines, and I move into Nisswa and I run. But I have no desire to do that because I love my wife. So anyway, I applaud you for doing that, and I do pledge your effort. And I would also say, just to put into record, when I hear people reaching out to the mayor, don't. Stop. Whoever is watching this on here and put it into public record, there is a proper path, and the city has been amazing to take care of that path. And we're bigger than this. We can come together and figure out solutions, but we need more diversity than me as a white male who won the lottery of birth to be born a white male in America. And I have no business saying what it is to my staff to be a black woman in America or anything like that. And I don't that. So let's slow down. Let's think this through and let's do it right.
Yeah. I make a motion, we take these two.
We have one more question.
One more? Oh.
That was asked about. It's change.org, a call for the Nisswa mayor to explain his racial and xenophobic comments on Facebook. That's the petition.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we take the two statements we put together and the last line as was discussed and make that motion.
Second.
As this is city's official statement on the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion?
Could
Although-
we
oh.
probably run it past our attorney who has strapped it up and everything just to make sure it was got it correct?
Yeah, and then I'm assuming we can get it posted in the paper, on our Facebook page, etc.
I'm sure it'll be in
Yes.
the paper.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any final comments? Not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.